Hey everyone, I am in my living room right now to talk to you a little bit about how to get a dog to stop barking. As you can tell, all I had to do was quickly say, "Who's here?" to my dogs, and they go crazy because they think someone's here, so they start barking. The best thing that you can do if your dog is kind of a nuisance barker, you can see that we have this giant elevated dog bed in our living room and this beautiful picture window, which I adore. But my dogs take the opportunity to jump up here, look out the window. They bark at squirrels, birds in our yard, anything they see. We live in a very rural area, so people walking down the street, they'll bark at. A sight barrier is the best way to prevent your dog from barking. So if you have a situation like this, you can draw your curtains. You can try to prevent your dog from being able to see whatever it is that is causing him to bark. Removing the motivation is really key. That's a big thing. So if you can do a sight barrier, or if you can just find a way to remove whatever the motivation might be that makes your dog bark. For example, I know when my kids get wrestling and roughhousing, our dogs will bark as well. So, typically if they start wrestling and roughhousing, I'll either tell them, the kids, to go outside, or I send the dogs outside. But if you remove that motivation to bark, then you're not going to have the issues. The next tip that I would have is to redirect your dog with behavior training. Let's say, for example, like my dogs, every time someone shows up at your house, your dogs bark like crazy. What you'll want to do, if you click the link below this video, it'll give you the detailed training guide. But just to run through it really quickly, we'll use the example of somebody coming to your home. So what you'll do is when they get there and your dog starts barking, you'll redirect him in some manner, maybe with a favorite toy or a treat, and bring him over either to his bed to lay down or to a quiet room in the house where he can stay. So over time, your dog's going to see that when someone shows up and he starts barking, he's redirected and he needs to go lay down. You can start working in verbal cues, and then over time, eventually, you should be able to tell your dog to go lay down or stop barking. Whatever command you want to use with them, they will know that that means that they need to stop barking at the person and go to wherever they need to be, to a different space. So it takes some time, but redirection and behavior training is the best thing that you can do if your dog is kind of a nuisance barker at different times throughout the day. A lot of dogs will bark to communicate that they're bored. Barking obviously is a form of communication for dogs. Barking, whining, growling, they make noises to talk in the same way that we do. We just don't understand their noises. So if your dog's barking, he's usually trying to tell you something. Even if you think it's nuisance barking, he's barking at the squirrels outside, he's trying to tell you that there's an intruder in your yard. Or if somebody's coming in the front door, there's an intruder in your home. Sometimes dogs will bark when they get excited. If they want you to throw a ball and play with them, or if they want their food, if they see their food bowl being filled, they'll bark out of excitement. Oftentimes, dogs will become nuisance barkers when they're bored. They're trying to get attention. They're trying to tell you that they're bored. So prevent boredom. If you don't have time to take your dog out for a walk and burn energy, or play with him with some toys, get him some things that are going to mentally stimulate him. Puzzle toys are great. You can do nose work with your dog. There are lots of different things that you can do to prevent boredom, even if you don't have the time to play with your dog one-on-one. And finally, I know that this is hard, very difficult, but sometimes you just need to ignore the barking. This is true of whining and any kind of nuisance noises that your dog makes. Sometimes dogs are just like little kids, and they do things because they're trying to just get attention. And if you give them attention, even negative attention, that's some kind of attention from you. So even if you're, telling them to stop barking, or, getting frustrated with them and, yelling at them, that's still attention. And even though we don't think about it as a good thing, your dog still sees it as you interacting with him. So it may actually make the problem worse. Oftentimes with nuisance barking, if you ignore your dog, as I said, work on the behavior training, use those verbal cues, tell your dog when he starts the nuisance barking he needs to go lay down, ignore him, walk away, go into another room, go do something else. That will stop the barking after a while, because he's just going to realize that he can't do that for your attention.